All right, I've got a hell of a corruption story to tell you. And if you watch shows like The Young Turks, if you pay attention to the Top Vlog, or if you watch my show, The David Pakman Show, you know that net neutrality is a big deal. And net neutrality, depending on what happens with it, could open the door to companies like Comcast and AT&T and Verizon, Time Warner, prioritizing content, among other things they could do, prioritizing content. So, for example, if you decide that you have Comcast and you want to watch ABC News, well, since Comcast owns NBC, maybe ABC News doesn't look as good, or maybe the ABC News website loads a lot slower. FCC recently voted within the last couple of months to put some restrictions on what the cable companies can do and internet service providers. And the idea was that they cannot prioritize in that way, even though the legislation arguably has tons of loopholes anyway. So some Republicans, including Fred Upton, say, let's hold a hearing to see if we really need those restrictions. Because you know what? Very innocently, maybe we just don't need them, right? Well, if you do a basic internet search to see who is funding Fred Upton and who is funding Greg Walden and who's funding Lee Terry, who are on the subcommittee on communications and technology, you know where I'm going with this. I don't even have to tell you who they're funded by, right? You know that it's Comcast, it's AT&T, it's Verizon. So the Republicans that are innocently saying, let's review and see if we really need these restrictions on Comcast and Verizon, so on and so forth, have already been paid by those companies. What kind of a fair hearing are we going to expect? And the results were exactly as predicted, right? And there's no surprise in the results we had. Interestingly enough, I also uncovered that all of these guys are funded by a lobby called the NCTA. What does NCTA do? Well, as if Comcast by itself doesn't have enough lobbying power, as if Verizon on its own can't get legislation passed or influence lawmakers, the NCTA takes money from all of those service providers and they lobby on their behalf. They lobby on the interests of the cable industry. And you're probably saying, why do they need someone to lobby on their behalf when we're taking away, I mean, look at what's going on in Wisconsin. Some lawmakers are trying to take away any bargaining power that individual workers have. But forget about that. They don't need collective bargaining. But cable companies need the NCTA to go and pay people like Fred Upton and Lee Terry so that then they'll vote the way we want. And by we, I mean those Republicans and the cable companies on net neutrality. The system is completely corrupt, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make that completely clear. And we knew last week, I mean, I talked about it on my show, it was a foregone conclusion what was going to happen in these net neutrality hearings. The last thing on this, if we don't keep a close eye on this, this is going to affect you and me and the Young Turks and really everybody in our circle here of non-corporate media in a very negative way. That's completely clear. And the fact that the people deciding on this, the lawmakers deciding on this, have already been paid off, it doesn't bode well at all.